take a deep dive into real cases, the evidence, the court records, and the stories behind the headlines. Welcome to Crimes with Chronicle. For nearly 30 years, the unaliving of Tupac has haunted hip-hop, law enforcement, and the culture itself. No arrests, no trial, just rumors, documentaries, and finger-pointing. Until now, because in September 2023, a Nevada grand jury indicted Duane Keith Davis, better known as Keefe D, officially charging him with first-degree unaliving. And here's where this case gets strange. Keefe D didn't just confess once. He wrote a book about it, then gave interviews about it, then sat for law enforcement proffers.
You say Suge looks over, he sees you?
Yeah.
He looks right at you?
Yeah, he looks at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then, Tupac's busy getting shot. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
In
of
the back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside of their car?
I seen a bullet going Suge's head. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando shot him across Dre?
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window, popped.
Who was it?
They would drove on my side. I would have popped them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
Right.
And now he's walking it all back while trying to pull Sean Combs into the courtroom to save him.
I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about myself. Look, I ain't shit. I ain't never gonna be shit.
Y'all already know we're going to break this story down and so much more, but before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any news regarding cases like this and so much more. Now let's get back into it. For decades, this case has sat cold. Then suddenly, a Clark County grand jury stepped in. That matters because a grand jury doesn't indict off of vibes or rumors. They indict after hearing evidence, testimony, and sworn statements. That indictment officially charged Keefe D with the unaliving of hip-hop legend Tupac Shakur under Nevada law. From that moment forward, this stopped being a hip-hop mystery and became a criminal prosecution where every past word Keefe D ever said now carries consequences. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. In 2019, Keefe D released a memoir entitled Compton Street Legend. And in that book, he doesn't hedge, he doesn't speculate, he places himself inside the white Cadillac. He describes the night, the aftermath, the people involved.
He leaned over on the window, we rolled down the window, popped.
And prosecutors didn't have to twist his arm. They just had to read his words. And here's the problem. That book wasn't written under immunity. It wasn't a protected statement. It wasn't part of a plea deal. It was voluntary.
You big dummy.
Which means prosecutors view it not as storytelling, but as self-incrimination. Now, why would anyone in their right mind do this? Well, Keefe D actually believed incorrectly that he was being protected. Years earlier, he spoke to law enforcement during interviews where he thought his cooperation meant words couldn't be used against him. And yes, that's true, but here's the catch. Immunity does not travel with you into books, podcasts, or documentaries. Anything said outside a formal agreement is fair game. And once prosecutors decided his past statements were admissible, the ground shifted beneath him. So we've spoken about Keefe D and what he said, but to truly understand why Diddy's name keeps resurfacing, we have to talk about who was allegedly in that white Cadillac, what was allegedly promised, and why none of the people tied to that vehicle, besides Keefe D, are alive today to testify. And to truly understand why that night turned deadly, we have to rewind just a few hours earlier inside of the MGM Grand. Now, on the night of September 7th, 1996, Tupac Shakur attended the Mike Tyson fight in Las Vegas with Mary and Suge Knight. Now, after the fight, as they moved through the MGM Grand Arena, Tupac's entourage spotted Orlando Anderson, also known as Baby Lane. This wasn't a random encounter. Months earlier, a death row associate had been robbed in Los Angeles, and Orlando Anderson was believed to be involved. So when Tupac realized who he was looking at, he didn't hesitate. Surveillance footage shows Tupac running towards Anderson and throwing the first punch, followed by several death row affiliates joining in. It was a public beatdown, fast, chaotic, and humiliating, and it was all caught on camera. That moment matters because the fight and the shooting did not happen weeks apart, they happened that same night. Investigators believe that confrontation created immediate motive. Orlando Anderson had just been assaulted in public, surrounded by rivals, with no police intervention at the moment. In that environment, retaliation isn't abstract, it's personal. Now, just hours later, Tupac and Suge left the MGM, headed down the strip, and that's when the white Cadillac allegedly pulled alongside them. Now, for many investigators, the MGM fight is the spark that explains everything that followed, without needing a long-term conspiracy. And that's why this moment keeps coming up, because before the car, before the theories, and before the names being floated in court, there was a punch thrown inside a casino that night, and some believe that's what truly set the tragedy in motion. So here's the thing, if the fight at MGM explains why Orlando Anderson may have wanted retaliation, the next question becomes, why does Diddy's name keep coming up at all? Now, the connection doesn't just come from prosecutors, it comes almost entirely from what Duane Keith Davis, better known as Keefe D, has said over the years. According to Keefe D, after the MGM fight and amid the larger East Coast West Coast rivalry, there was talk, not paperwork, not contracts, but talk, that Sean Combs feared marrying Suge Knight. At the time, Suge Knight was viewed as powerful, intimidating, and dangerous, and Keefe D had claimed that Diddy was afraid of him and believed Suge Knight was a real threat. Now here's where Keefe D's story goes even further. Keefe D has alleged that because of that fear, there were conversations about wanting Suge Knight out of the way, and according to him, those conversations included money, allegedly as much as $1 million. But Keefe D has never claimed that Diddy personally handed anyone cash. Instead, he has pointed to a middleman. That man Keefe D has named is Eric Von Zip, a longtime associate connected to Bad Boy Records. Now, according to Keefe D's version of events, Eric Von Zip allegedly acted as the go-between. He was allegedly involved in discussions about money, and he was allegedly connected to supplying the weapons. Now let me say this, there is no proof the money was ever paid. There were no financial records, no contracts, no wire transfers, and no witness confirming payment. And Eric Von Zip is no longer with us, so we can't ask him. Now, even Keefe D has acknowledged that no one ever collected $1 million. In the prosecution's eyes, they want to shift the focus away from the MGM fight and personal retaliation and towards a much messier narrative involving Diddy wanting to take out the competition. And if prosecutors introduce Keefe D's past statements mentioning Diddy, the defense can argue if those statements matter, then the people named should testify. Well, all of the people named are not here except for Diddy, and that's the reason why Keefe D ultimately wants Diddy in the courtroom, not to accuse him, but to challenge credibility, because if Diddy denies fear, money, or any involvement through Eric Von Zip, then Keefe D can say my past statements were exaggerated, misunderstood, or never meant as fact. So Diddy's name isn't in the case because of evidence, it's in the case because one man kept talking and now needs to distance himself from his own words. Keefe D is now saying that none of what he was saying was true. None of it's true.
It's BS. They made it up.
That the stories he told weren't confessions, they were exaggerations, that the interviews weren't admissions, they were storytelling, and that the book wasn't the truth, it was written for money, notoriety, and survival. He's arguing that he talked because he believed he was protected, he believed he couldn't be charged, and that telling the story made him relevant in a case everyone else stopped talking about. But now those same words are being used against him in an unaliving trial, and the story has changed. What once made him visible, what once made him untouchable, is now the very thing putting him in danger of spending the rest of his life in prison. And that's the tension at the center of the case. Not conspiracy versus truth, but words versus consequences. And he really thinks Diddy is gonna help get him out of it. What I need to do is hear from you. What do you think about everything going on with the Diddy and Keefe D of it all? Leave a comment and you know how we do. We'll talk about it down below. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any of my new episodes.